Hello. Hello, Brushstrokes MC. I believe you are of the Wiggly Phantoms, if I'm not mistaken. Coffee, I have no idea who you are or what team you represent, but I'm sure your team's dumb and stupid. Also, I'll see you Wednesday. Hello, Haya. I like that guy that you rated at the end of Minnow Cup. The guitar dude or whoever. Had a pretty nice little song there. By the way, you did a good job, Haya. I didn't realize you weren't doing spectator cam and you were doing that all by yourself. That's like the camera shots were all you. That's nice work. It's hard to do. Orphan obliterators were the second worst thing to happen to orphans. Is the first that they are orphans to begin with? That's unfortunate. You have to pay extreme attention to everything. AKA, you have to actually give effort. If you want to create something if you want create a quality stream, you have to put in effort, Haya. That's the cost. It's the cost of greatness. You have to pay some sort of price. Imagine putting in effort. Imagine how good the Popcast would be if I actually put in effort. Who knows? Instead of cramming all of this stuff in last night. Frosh, how dare you spam chat? Oh, so is it Xanadu Frosh? Are there like two Froshes? It is the Xanadu Frosh. I think I just haven't seen your Battlefy or your Twitch handle before, or maybe I have and I just haven't been paying attention. Are there two Froshes? I feel like there is. There's like 5 Froshes. Frosh is such a popular name for some reason. I've said this before, but when I see your name, I think of froth, like milk froth that you put on your like latte or something. So your name reminds me of like a creamy foam. Frosh. Hello, everybody. Yes, you got a very delicious name for sure. Still not another Haya? There's 2 pop guns. There's at least 24 other pop guns on Twitch, so. Really? Yes, really. One of them, the other one's in chat right now with the moderator tag next to their name. So, how about that? Who knew? I've known. I was well aware. For at least the past 11 or so years, however long we've been an item. Hey, it's 12 o'clock. Hello, friends. And welcome back to the Popcast. Whenever you're listening to this, whether it be live or a VOD, Twitch or YouTube, while you're getting over your Clam Blitz burnout from the weekend, missing rounds in tournaments because you overslept, getting over a hangover because you partied too hard after winning Little Squid League 9 and forgot that you aren't in your 20s anymore. Whatever it is that you're doing right now, appreciate you taking the time out of your day to listen to this. Unless I don't. Today, on the first episode of the Popcast in 2021, we are going to be discussing tournaments. Yes, this isn't going to be another episode where I just flat out yell at you guys or yell at the community in general. There's going to be no ranting today, I don't think. There's going to be no angry pop gun today. We're gonna get back to doing what the focus of the podcast was supposed to be, which is talking about actual tournaments and giving credit to you guys for what you've accomplished over the weekend, and not what you say on Twitter. So yay for that. And we got a lot of tournaments to look at today. First off, Little Squid League 9, which happened on Sunday. We will be looking at that one first. And then the Minnow Cup Clan Blitz edition, which happened on Saturday. But Popgun, why are you doing them out of chronological order? 2 reasons. One, I feel like it's better to go from the lower skill level up to the higher skill level tournament so that we can talk about the accomplishments Little Squid League teams had not just on Sunday, but more so also how that translated backwards in time to how good they did in Minnow Cup on Saturday. Reason number 4 is because I am going to be interviewing a member of the Deep Fried Octolings, a team that did really well in Minnow Cup. And on the back end of this episode, when they are on their lunch break, I believe, is when we set that up. And reason number 3 is because it's my podcast and I can do whatever I want. And if you don't like it, please subscribe anyways and follow. But like, I'll try to do better. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, okay? I can't please all of you. Only most of you. But first, SAC is finally coming back. Finally coming back with season 3. The opener is this upcoming weekend, Saturday and Sunday. I am leaving the link to that right here. I will be sure to post that again at the end of the episode. I say that now, knowing full well that I will completely forget by the time the episode ends. What I won't forget, though, is if you are watching this not live on Twitch, but you are a schmuck who watches this on a VOD on YouTube, you can't click that, can you? What you could do, there's 2 things you could do. First off, you could type that out word from what it is right there, letter from letter, I guess. Or you could just click on the link that is in the description below. I will be sure to put that in there. Make sure you guys sign up and play for this tournament. SAC is an important tournament. I've been critical / supportive of it in the past. Maybe it's time to stop being so critical and seeing it as a potential issues that it kind of brings, and more so point out the fact that it is a good tournament and people should be playing in it. The weekend thing, does this need to be a weekend tournament? No. But let's before I go on a rant about why a 5-round Swiss top 8 top cut tournament should just be played in one day instead of dragged out to 2, let's actually wait and see what happens. Maybe Sunday will be like an epic broadcast. Maybe it'll be like a Smash top 8 and they'll stream like every single match or something like that. Who knows? Maybe it'll be really cool. So let's sign up for it. Let's wait and see what happens, and let's enjoy this tournament. Will I be recapping this tournament? I don't know. I'm sure I'll talk about it at some extent. It's weird because my team is playing in it. So it's what if my team what am I gonna do? Am I gonna talk about how great my team did or how bad my team did? I don't know. That's awkward. So we will cover it to some extent on next episode's Popcast. I believe SAC has their own podcast, and if you want to know more about this tournament, I would suggest listening to one of those whenever they do something. Because I have listened to those, and they are pretty entertaining. And I know not every tournament has the capability of doing podcasts because they are labor intensive. As I could tell you just from my personal experience. So when a tournament organization does go out of their way to create one, be sure to give it a listen, because there's usually a lot of love and effort put into it. So I'll leave the SAC coverage to the SAC folks, but we will be talking about it to some extent. Just don't expect a full, complete breakdown, winners, losers, or if you beat my team, don't expect me to do a full-blown pat on the back for you if you do it. But GG's GLHF in advance. Make sure you sign up for this tournament. It's the only thing going on next weekend, as far as the little lower level is concerned. With that being said, we are going to move right into tournament recap, starting with Little Squid League 9. The interesting switch here, as opposed to how Little Squid League 8 was run, aside from the fact that it's on a Sunday and not a Saturday, is the format from Swiss to groups. All of you hate Swiss because you think everything else is better, and then you see a new format and you're like, well, I hate this too. I think you guys just hate losing, but as long as you win, you like whatever the tournament is. I'll say this though, it is annoying that every single lower level tournament and their mother is a Swiss tournament. I'll give you that. Do I think Swiss is the best one for lower level tournaments as far as matching up teams against other teams around their skill level and giving them an opportunity to eventually find an opponent that is not going to be a curb stomp? Yes, I feel like Swiss is the best format for an all-inclusive skill level tournament, I guess you could say. Is it annoying to see constantly? Yes, it really is. I'm sure playing in it constantly is extremely annoying as well. So, Little Squid League, which has done double elim tournaments in the past, which has been running Swiss tournaments the past like 3 or 4 Little Squid Leagues, has now switched, at least for this tournament, to groups. And groups are awesome. I like it. I've talked in the past about how groups, the issue with groups in lower level tournaments is that you're basically seeding teams to fail. You're basically putting them in a situation to where you're assuming they are not going to win a single game, which for little lower level tournaments isn't exactly the best way to build help teams grow and build them up, but it worked out in this tournament. I'm assuming there was seeding done just because the teams that had the number one seed in their groups were strong teams, and the teams that didn't, I guess you could say they weren't strong, but they just didn't really have much of a resume to go off of. But uh, just because seeding was done didn't mean this tournament fell by the script. Group C, basically played out the way that it was seeded. But the other 3 groups, Group A, B, and D, were wild in a sense. A lot of upsets. I feel like I've caught most of the important ones that I'll be talking about later. Um, and another thing, one of the, I assume the head person who is behind the seeding would be Parias, and Parias knows more about these teams on a macro level. Or is it macro or micro? He knows more about these teams than I do. I'm aware that these teams exist, but I don't look in depth into like uh, what some of these teams are capable of. Obviously, I talk about the Wiggly Phantoms a lot, mainly because they're named, but now they're actually really good. Uh, CIA, of course, I mention them pretty much every single week to some extent. But a lot of these other teams, like I've been aware of Inkcraft Colts, but a lot of these other teams, Damage Inc., Cosmic Night Owls, like Cosmic Night Owls are a team that's played in low inks in the past, and I didn't even know it until I saw that they won silver bracket here, and I went back to look into them. I was like, oh wait, this is actually a team that's been around. I've heard of these. All right, there's like actual data on these guys. So, so like in Booyah X, I'm aware of Booyah X, Ink Eye. So like, when Parias has his hands in something, seeding wise, I trust it. I feel like it's trust. Now, is seeding always going to play out the way it's supposed to? No. In lower level tournaments, especially because again, there's not a whole ton of resume to judge teams off of as there is in like an open tournament. There's not a and even though like a team is seeded, that doesn't mean like they're miles above. There's a lot of parity at the lower level. The team that was projected to win both by Parias, and to some extent, I assume they would be one of the favorites to win this whole tournament. The Wiggly Phantoms didn't even make gold bracket, and we'll talk about some of the games they did there and why they didn't reach that status. But there's parity here. So just because it's a group tournament and there is seeding doesn't particularly mean that this can't be a quality tournament, even for teams that got seeded to finish dead last in their group. So maybe my opinion on groups in lower level tournaments has slightly changed just based off of the success that this tournament had. Another thing I liked about this tournament is that it added a silver bracket, which I think is a fantastic idea. I feel like if more open tournaments, these tournaments that are constantly like, why are low level tournaments not showing up, or lower level teams not showing up for tournaments like in the zone so that they can get destroyed? Like, that's a really good experience for them. Getting absolutely destroyed is a great experience. No, it's not. That sucks. Nobody wants to do that. I did that growing up in competitive Splatoon. It sucked. I hated it. It's not fun. Yeah. Can you get better doing stuff like that? Yeah. Is it fun and discourage teams from continuing to play? Hell yeah. Are you kidding me? But when you have alternatives like, hey, after you get destroyed, here's a silver bracket for you, or Good Guys Win called it some like cutesy name like the Little Judd bracket. So it's kind of demeaning, but in the sense like, who cares? You're actually playing something that's fun. So Little Squid League, this is why you should do a silver bracket, is because it encourages, even if you don't do good in the initial group or Swiss stage or whatever, there's still something for you, like a consolation. Here's a few extra games to kind of to grow and get good with teams that are actually at your skill level. And if more open tournaments did that, maybe you'll get more lower level teams. Or you could just keep doing what you always do and just tweet out, hey, how come you idiots aren't showing up to get your weekly butt kicking in our tournament? Because it's not fun. Make it fun, and maybe they'll start coming out. Who knows? Imagine that, having fun in a tournament. But let's get into the actual games here. First off, the matches of note. I do have 3. These aren't the only 3 upsets based off of seeding, but they were the more significant ones. Of course, there were a lot of upsets if you just looked at the seedings, but the first one we want to talk about here is Alpha Squid's 2-1 over the Wiggly Phantoms. I mentioned Wiggly Phantoms were Pariah's favorite. He did a top 10, which is cool. I'm all for people doing top 10s before a tournament. It builds up excitement. It builds up hype. If your team's on the top 10, you get more excited to play in the tournament. If you're not in the top 10, then you got like a chip to put on your shoulder and be like, I'm going to prove nobody voted for me. I'm going to prove everyone wrong. And then you DM that person afterwards and be like, you didn't put me in the top 10. And then getting on a rant. Anyways, Alpha Squids was seeded number 6 in their group. This is the only group, Group A, that had 6 teams in it. So Alpha Squid's number 6, Wiggly Phantoms number 1. Logic would tell you that Wiggly Phantoms is the number 1 overall team, and Alpha Squids being the 6th seed in this group would be the lowest seeded team in the entire tournament. So literally, this is the biggest upset you could possibly create. Now, Alpha Squids went on to finish, I believe, in 3rd place in gold bracket. And I believe they actually ended up winning this group. Yeah, they were the number 1 seed in gold bracket. They won the group from a tiebreaker, I believe, and did win 3rd place overall in this tournament. So we found out later that this wasn't exactly an upset of a number 1 or number 23 over number 1, but that's kind of the issue with seeding teams to the lower level. You can't really accurately assess these kinds of things. Is this one the Wiggly Phantoms should win? Yes. But here's the interesting thing about the Wiggly Phantoms. This is the first time, and this is the only tournament where this is going to happen, but this is the first time for the Wiggly Phantoms have gone from being the hunter to being the hunted. And that's a really weird role to be in. When you're the team that's constantly looking to upset teams that are better than you or that are projected to be better than you, which the Wiggly Phantoms did in Minnow Cup, by the way, when we get to that. But it's different from that mindset of when you're playing against a team that is excited to play against you, which is a really weird concept if you're not used to it. All of a sudden, you're the team that's at the top of the mountain and everybody's gunning for you. That pressure is kind of hard. Ask Persistence. Ask ITAP. They're about to enter into that category of going from being the team that's looking to be the underdog to the team that's just trying to stiff arm everybody who's trying to jump over them. The Wiggly Phantoms, at least for this tournament, are in that category of having to just kind of stiff arm everybody, and there's too many good teams to hold all of them back. Who won Little Squidly? Do you think I wasn't going to mention that at some point? Just wait. Just wait. We're getting to that. I'm trying to build up to that. Wow, Herbert. Wow. Just completely ruin it. Never mind. Anyways. But a nice win, regardless, for Alpha Squids. Another matchup here. Dummy Squad 2-1 over Inkcraft Cult. This was a number 4 versus number 2 seed upset. And this is significant because we learned over the course of this tournament how good these two teams actually were. Inkcraft Cult would go on to finish in second place. I guess I am kind of spoiling things. I don't care. Inkcraft Cult would go on to finish in second place in gold bracket, and Dummy Squad didn't even qualify for silver bracket. Where did they finish in this group? Dummy Squad finished in fourth in their group, so they didn't make silver bracket. Maybe they just dropped. I don't know. But still, on paper, this is a really good win for Dummy Squad. And it came at the very beginning of the tournament. Inkcraft Cult would go on to sweep the rest of their group after that. The other 4 teams in their group. But Dummy Squad, who for some reason didn't make it into silver bracket, still a really good win for them against the team that finished number 2 overall. Multiply Clan 2-1 over Nightshade Beta. This ended up being in round 5 of Group D, I believe. Yes, this was round 5 of Group D, and this match ended up being the championship match, basically, for Group D. Both teams came in, I believe Multiply Clan was 3-1, and Nightshade Beta was 4-0. So whoever won this one would win the whole group. And Multiply Clan found a way to get this win 2-1. So a very close set. At least we assume it is. I don't know if a VOD of this set exists. But an important set and a good one. Now, both teams ended up making gold bracket anyways. So it's not like it just altered seeding a little bit. Both teams did make alpha bracket, so just altered seeding a little bit. Nightshade got number 7, Multiply Clan got number 4, but still an important match in far as how groups ended up. So nice win by Multiply Clan, a team I don't know a whole heck a lot about, but have shown that they need some more attention, at least for me. Novice Clams took their place because they dropped. Okay, fair enough. They did at least qualify. Dummy Squad did at least qualify for silver bracket. They just didn't play in it. Winners from the group stage. First off, TNGP. I have no idea what this stands for. I've never seen this team before, and I haven't done enough research to know if they're a team that's been playing in low ink and I just never seen them, or if this is their first tournament or not. But they're a team that is going to demand my respect going forward. These name guys, please. Okay, that was a letdown. Maybe it's just the pickup then. I don't know. But regardless, here's what these guys accomplished in this tournament. They were seeded 3rd in Group B and said, nah, fam, we're the best team in this group. They went not just undefeated per match, but undefeated per game. A perfect 12-0 in Group B for TNGP. If my mouse would actually work, I could maneuver around here a little bit quicker. The teams they beat, the other teams in their group, Hook, Line, and Sinker, TTL, which stands for Thick Thigh Lovers, Damage Inc. and Division Inquisition. All right, I'll let that ink name slide. Don't know much about Division Inquisition, but so there you go. Nice run from TNGP. Once again, seeded third and said, nah, we're just gonna win the whole group, undefeated. Multiply Clan, even more impressive. I told you they won Group D, and they did it as the number 4 seed, knocking off teams like Cosmic Night Owls, Nightshade Beta, and Tangy. I don't think I'm allowed to say this word on Twitch anymore. The SIMP word. I'm pretty sure that's like offensive to some group. So I don't think I'm technically allowed to say this team's name on Twitch. So I'm just going to call them Team Tangy just to be safe. The only team to knock off Multiply Clan in Group D was Ink Eye, but it wasn't enough to prevent Multiply Clan from winning Group D. My biggest winner, the biggest winner of the group stage, has to go to the Alpha Squids. Why? Well, kind of like I mentioned, they were seeded 6th, aka seeded to be the worst team in this whole tournament, and went on to win every single game in Group A, a perfect 5-0. They didn't go completely perfect 3-0s everything. They won a couple of close sets 2-1. But Alpha Squids, seeded 6th, started from the bottom, and now they're here kind of tournament. Not bad for them. My biggest winner from the group stage, earning the number 1 seed. I thought they tripped up. I might have said earlier that they tripped up at some point, but they didn't. Now, I said there was a silver bracket, so we will. Would you guys stop flirting with danger in chat? Come on. I said there was a silver bracket. Let's peek into it. Let's see how the silver bracket went here. Wiggly Phantoms was the number 1 seed. They ended up finishing in 2nd place, knocking out Hook, Line, and Sinker, Novice Clams, both by 3-0, losing to Cosmic Owls 4-1. So Cosmic Owls won all the silver brackets. Now, who are the Cosmic Owls? I actually did slightly look into these guys. These guys were actually on stream earlier in the tournament when they played Ink Eye. They beat them 2-1 in some close sets. The Rainmaker game wasn't really close, but they got a huge lead and just kind of coasted from there. And I actually looked into these guys. They played in low ink. They finished 3-3. They finished 3-3 in December of that tournament. And once again, here's another example: a team that plays in tournaments that I just didn't know existed until they play in Little Squid League and they pop off, and then they kind of demand that you give them attention. So this is another example why Little Squid League is good. I can't look at all 100 plus teams that play in low ink. I can't. It's impossible. But when we get these other tournaments and teams are at more of an opportunity to pop off in them than they are in Little Squid League, you get more attention for it. That's why playing in these tournaments is important. So Cosmic Night Owls, another team that I need to add to my list of teams that I need to keep an eye on for this year, because they did really well here in silver brackets. I guess the other match of note in silver bracket, I know I'm just briefly skimming over this, but we will But I did want to give it at least some attention. Damage Inc. versus Ink Eye was the closest match, at least on paper, for the silver bracket here. This was round one. Damage Inc. won 3-2 over Ink Eye. Ink Eye is an actual team that I am aware of. Has played in several low inks. Is on the rise. Is on the right path to improvement, and getting a close loss here against Damage Inc. Damage Inc. ultimately taking third place, knocking off Novice Clams, who finished in fourth place there. So there you go. As I die on my own spit. Come on. Wiggly Phantoms, once again, finishing in second place here. What does this say about them? I think this is a good tournament result for them. I'm curious what their current expectations are. Wiggly Phantoms were a team that was just like, oh, that's cute. They're starting to win games. But now they're starting to qualify consistently for Gamma Bracket. They're starting to get 3 wins consistently in low ink, and they're starting to gain attention. I've said this last week, or at least kind of skimmed over it last week. I will make it official now. I think that at the end of this year, on episode 82 or something in December, when we're giving out the next stream of Popcast awards, I think the Wiggly Phantoms might be the early dark horse to be considered one of the most improved teams of the year, because I think what they showed their improvement from being a not so good team at the beginning of 2020 to a low ink or a little squiddly contender at the end of it. Where they start off here, keep an eye on the Wiggly Phantoms, because where they start off here and where they end up in December, if they make it through a whole year for a Splatoon team is crazy. But there's some potential here. But honestly, Cosmic Night Owls a little bit above them at this point, beating them 4-1. So shout out to Cosmic Night Owls for getting the win there. Definitely be keeping an eye on you guys in the future. Let's switch on over to Gold Bracket. The matches of note are, well, there's only really 2 significant matches of note here. Make it 3, actually. There's some 3 good ones. And a good chunk of them involved Inkcraft Cult. First off, the most exciting match by far of the entire tournament, and this was on stream as well, Alpha Squids versus Inkcraft Cult. This was the Gold Bracket semifinals. Went 3-2 into the favor of Inkcraft Cult. And it wasn't easy because Alpha Squids was actually leading this one 2-1 heading into Game 4. Inkcraft Cult had to turn it around, winning the last 2 games to win this whole tournament. This was, or to win that set, to finish second place overall in this whole tournament. Inkcraft Cult, this was awesome because at the end of this set, somebody from the team went into the Twitch chat and was basically really ecstatic that they were in grand finals. They said their captain was crying, and VC said something like, "Mom, we did it. We did it." And that's like, oh, that's wholesome. That's cool. That's nice. That it means something. I mean, come on. This means something to people. Like maybe to like the people on the high end of the community, like, oh, Little Squid League, whatever. But to the people that actually play in this, the people that actually grow through Little Squid League, like making it to finals means something to them. And that's exciting. It's exciting to watch anything of any skill level if it means something to the people that are playing in it. If there's something that is on the line, then it automatically becomes way more entertaining for the viewer and becomes way more passionate for the people actually playing in it. And you can kind of see that passion playing through in their playstyle. So Inkcraft Cult there, very nice win. Obviously they're excited about it, and that's awesome. But then you got to run into CIA at some point. Interestingly enough, the game before this one for Inkcraft Cult was against Multiply Clan, who they beat 3-2. So the Colt beat the Clan 3-2. So in Craft Colt, in back-to-back game fives, win or go home situations, found ways to get 2 straight wins there. So maybe that added a little bit to the emotions of winning that game 5 against Alpha Squids in round 2. But regardless, a couple of huge wins there for Incraft Colt. Incraft Colt, another team kind of in that Wiggly Phantom category of teams that are just like, I'm aware of them, but we don't get to see them enough. And we finally got to see them do some damage in this term. I know they played in a lot of Little Squid Leagues because and they're on stream a lot in Little Squid League just because I hear that word Incraft Colt. That is a weird name, and Colt is spelled wrong, I believe. Is it a C or a K? I think it's supposed to be a C, but whatever. I'm the last person to be calling out somebody for spelling. Regardless, the other match of note before we get into the grand finals here, Alpha Squids versus TNGP. This was the third place match. We didn't get to see this one because there's no VOD of a third place match. But Alpha Squids win this one 4-3. So this one went to a game 7. Arguably the match of the tournament. Alpha Squids, once again, these guys were finished dead last, or seeded dead last in this tournament. Ended up 3rd overall. Pretty impressive. Pretty impressive Sunday for these guys. TNGP going all the way to 4th place as well, being 1 game away from finishing in 3rd place. And it's nice to see competitive action in 3rd place. Sometimes teams get to that 3rd place match and they're just like, I don't care. Heck, we see teams that make alpha bracket or that make beta bracket that were trying to make alpha and they don't even play in that. So the fact that we get a competitive game in the 3rd place match, awesome. Shout outs to Alpha Squids for doing that. And let's move on to grand finals. So CIA showed up, and I haven't talked about these guys yet. But this was a coming out party for these guys. They swept Incraft Colt 4-0, and we saw it live on stream. And it wasn't like a curb stomp by any stretch of the imagination, but CIA was clearly the better team. Here's what I like about CIA going forward. First off, Herbert has been on the, let's say, the injured reserve list as of recently. So we haven't gotten to see much of Herbert action as far as tournaments are concerned. They've also added Code recently, and this is a really smart pick, not just because of Code's relationship to the players on CIA, but more so what Code brings to the actual game. So now you have Code, who's a really good frontline slayer that complements Herbert, who is a really good midline slayer. And you got, I wouldn't say that's a Batman and Robin kind of thing, but it's more of a 1-2 punch kind of thing. And when you have your frontline, you got your slayers figured out, then everything else just kind of falls into line. It's easier for Saint K to be a junior main. It's easier for Mark to hold down the anchor position with the Splatlings. It's easier for River and Moonster to flex and fill whatever spot is kind of missing. So there you go. You got all the Code is the missing piece, the missing line of code, I guess you could say, that helps elevate CIA to being a team that just makes top cutting in Little Squid League to a team that flat out wins Little Squid League. And I think with this core group they have, they can get back to being that beta bracket team that we have seen in around the middle section of last year's low ink tournaments. We haven't seen a lot of good results out of CIA recently. They did go 3-3 last month, and going 3-3 in last month's low ink is something to be proud of because that one was really tough. Not gonna lie. But going forward, now that they have this solid roster, and all the pieces in place, and hopefully everybody is back healthy and ready to go, I think CIA is set up for a bright 2021. Let's just say that. Winning this tournament here, very nice feeling, I'm sure. and we have higher expectations for CIA going forward. So that's all I will say about that. Congratulations to CIA. Um, the only team sponsored by Citrum Silver, um, and the only team that rivals Day Old Sushi as far as per age members on their roster there. I will say this though. Yes, I am 30, but I am at least woke enough to realize that I need to get slayers that are teenagers to do all the dirty work for me, so that I can just kind of sit back and just kill people from a distance and take advantage of that. So, Haya, don't worry, don't read too much into that. Just keep doing your job, buddy. You're doing all right. Let's look, because we do have to get to an interview at some point. So let's take a quick water break and then we'll move on down to Minnow Cup. And Pariah said something up top here. Let me go back and. Funny thing about Alpha Squids, they missed check in by a minute. By a minute. Oh, man. That's. There were some teams that just flat out missed the testing ground check in despite being pinged multiple times, and then they show up like afterwards and be like, "We didn't get the check in," and it's like, "Well, yeah, we're aware. We've been trying to let you know. It's too late now." And then they're like, "Well, can't you just slide us in? Why can't you just slide us in?" It's like, oh my gosh, you have no idea how Battlefy works. You coach Alpha Squids? I assumed they were under the Ultra Squid family. So I guess your involvement with them makes a lot of sense there. Minnow Cup. Let's get into this. It's on the next page. Here's what I'll say about Minnow Cup before we get into the actual matches. It's Swiss, which is fine. It's two groups. I don't understand that for the life of me. Low Ink does it because Low Ink gets a gazillion and a half teams that sign up for it. Minnow Cup is the second biggest lower level tournament we have in the community. But it only had 49 teams sign up for it. I say only 49. That's bigger than most tournaments in general. But it's not enough to warrant splitting things into two groups. When you do two groups, it has to be 100% perfect even, or else people are going to make up crap out of their off the top of their head and go on Twitter and say things like 80% of teams that make alpha bracket are in Group A, when that's not even close to being accurate. So I don't understand why Minnow Cup is doing a two group Swiss system when it should just be one giant group system, in my opinion. But let's look into this tournament and how it worked out here. Matches of note. Carbonado 2-1 over Thimbo IHOP. I guess I should mention, if you're not aware, this is Clan Blitz only. So take everything I'm about to say with a little bit of a grain of salt. That a team beats another team, that could just mean they're better in Clan Blitz in general, not just overall. But a nice win here for Carbonado. These two over Thimbo IHOP, these two are alpha bracket teams. These teams that are kind of flirt with the idea of staying consistently in alpha bracket, but sometimes trip up and fall down to beta or gamma, or maybe not make a Sunday in Low Ink at all, considering how competitive it can be at times. But it's fun to see these two teams play against each other. We haven't seen a lot of good action out of Carbonado recently since they made alpha bracket a few Low Inks ago. So getting a win here is it's nice to see. Team schedule. This is the team with the Japanese text. They will be forever known as team schedule. It translates to like maps and modes have changed. Well, it doesn't translate directly to that. That's just what you would assume. It's like schedule change or something. So team schedule. 2-1 over Squid Row. Whoa. Squid Row is a team that everybody is putting at the top of their list right now. And rightfully so. They had a really strong Low Ink last month. So Once again, we talked about the hunter versus the hunted. Squid Row is now the team with the target on their back. As persistence, that's not a fun target to have. And now team schedule knocks them off 2-1. Team schedule, a team that is, it's good to see these guys play more consistently. We've only seen them play like once every other low ink. So now that team schedule is played in a low ink and is now following it up the 2 weekends later playing in Minnow Cup, maybe we'll get to see more of these guys consistently, and we'll get to see what they're actually about, and maybe they'll play more low inks and eventually win it. Krill Streak, welcome back, Krill Streak. And this is a nice win for them. They beat Rising Hope 2-1. Rising Hope is a team that was the number one seed in Gamma last month of low ink. Once again, just making low ink Sunday was really impressive for a lot of teams. Rising Hope being a consistently goodish team. A team I don't really get to talk about a lot, but Krill Streak coming back from a break. We haven't seen them in a while. They come back here, they get a nice win. I believe they only got a handful of wins this tournament, but this is a good one for them. 2-1 over Rising Hope. H2O Mega. This is a team that is what the Wiggly Phantoms used to be. I've been keeping a slight eye on H2O Mega because they did reach out to me for like information on where to get started in tournaments, and I haven't really seen them do a whole heck of a lot as far as actually get wins or wins that are significant. But here they go, getting a 2-1 win over Barracuda Blitz. This is a huge win. And almost my biggest win of the tournament if it wasn't for another match I'm about to mention. But Barracuda Blitz, this team qualified for beta last month. Again, that's really impressive. I don't think they actually played. I think they dropped, but they did qualify for beta. So there you go. H2O Mega, a team that hasn't made a Gamma yet, that should be playing a little Squid League. That'd be a great tournament for them. Finding a way to knock off Barracuda Blitz, a team with Blitz in their name. They beat them in Clan Blitz 2-1. So nice win, easily the best win in H2O Mega's young team career. The biggest match of note here is Wiggly Phantoms 2-1 over the Geek Squids. Whoa, okay. This is actually a rematch from Low Ink last month, where I pointed out on the Popcast I was surprised that Geek Squid only won this one 2-1. And I was like, wow, that's really impressive that Wiggly Phantoms took a game off of Geek Squids. But here they are taking a whole doggone set away from them. This should not be happening. Now, once again, it's Clan Blitz. Maybe that's just Geek Squid's kryptonite. No, Geek Squid's made top cut in this tournament. However, I will say this. After Geek Squids lost one game to them and now lost an entire set, the Phantoms, are they the kryptonite here? Is this the next obstacle that Geek Squids has to overcome? And we talk about the target. Here it is. Wiggly Phantoms don't have a target on their back in this tournament. They're free to play more loose. They're free to play more excited to get some wins against the team. And now, in Geek Squid's case, when they play a team like this, it's like, we gotta beat these guys again. It's so difficult to beat these guys, and if we lose, Pop Gun's gonna mention it and give them all the credit. Well, yeah, I have to. I love Geek Squids, but I gotta give credit to the Phantoms here. This is a heck of a win. 2-1 over them. My goodness. My winners from Swiss. I got a lot of them. It's kind of the thing when you have two groups, there's a lot of people you got to give some shout outs here too. First off, Enigma finished 7th in Group A. Key wins coming against the Wiggly Phantom. Enigma is a team I am surprised hasn't been getting some higher results. I feel like their roster is really good. They just need some more time in the oven. Well, here you go. They finished 7th. They qualified for Top Cut here. Key win coming against Wiggly Phantoms. Beating the Wiggly Phantoms is now something to be proud of, especially if they're knocking off Geek Squids. But Enigma, nice tournament here. Team schedule showing back up here, going 4-1 in Group B. Key wins coming against Inked Dragons and, like I mentioned, Squid Row. Team schedule sneakily getting better just because we don't talk about them enough. Potentially a top 10 team going into this next low ink. Potentially. Especially with their showing here in this Clan Blitz tournament. Solution, a team that is steadily improving. Go 4-1 here in Group B. Key wins coming against Nexus, Carbon Auto, and the Under Squids. Solution, I believe, lost to... Well, I'll get to that. Actually, yeah, I got that written down. I'll get to that later. But Solution here, a team that's beta bracket-ish. I say that because they always flirt with the idea of making alpha. I feel like they're just a few steps away. Nice to see them come out in this tournament and do well. Nexus. I have no idea who these guys are, but once again, you pop off. I got to give you some credit here. 3-2, 3 wins, 2 losses in Group B. But look at the teams that they beat. This is really impressive. They beat Synergy, who is a really strong team. Socks, which was a Tooniverse pickup, and Krill Streak. So they had the second highest opponent win percentage at 68% in this tournament and found a way to go 3-2. I don't know if this is a new team or a pickup, but if Nexus is the big boys. Okay, so they did play in low ink. They were a beta bracket team last month. Okay, so I like Nexus better than the big boys as far as the name is concerned. So Nexus is a team I'll be keeping an eye on in the future. Nice win for them. Wiggly Phantoms, 3-2 in Group A, finished 9th, just barely missed making top cut here. Obviously the key win going against Geek Squids, as I mentioned earlier. And the last team I want to mention here as a winner from the Swiss round is Checkmate. Another former Little Squid League champion. Checkmate. Wait, do I have that right? Or did they win a Checkpoint 1 tournament? I can't remember. But these guys finished 6th in Group A, beating the likes of Ink Strike, Wiggly Phantoms, and CIA, which is becoming a nice win to get in these tournaments as well. Checkmate did make top cut here in this tournament. This is a team that usually signs up for low ink and then drops the day of. So it's nice to see them starting to play more consistently. And they do have a tournament win. I just can't think what the actual tournament was. I think it was a checkpoint tournament because they lost to they lost to Splatter Swim. I believe they lost to Splatter Swim in a Little Squid League tournament. So they've probably finished second in that one, but I'm pretty sure they won checkpoint. Top cut matches of note, and we're moving. Here's what I like about this. Not that it was a best of 16, or a best of 16. There was 16 teams that made top cut. That's a lot for a tournament that's got 49 teams in it, but it's fine because all these matches were best of 3, which is great. Now, if you got a top 8, best of 5 matches is fine. But if you're going to have a top 16, just get the doggone thing over with. Best of 3 up till grand finals, then bump it up to best of 5. And so that gets this thing moving right along and gets it over with, which is great. This is I love Minnow Cup. There's no prize to fight for. I think there might be like an art thing or something. There's no. It's just the Clan Blitz tournament. We don't need this big drawn out, long, elaborate top 16 cut. No, just get the games over with so we can move on with our Saturday. Despite this top 3 or a best of 3, a lot of good matches here. Splat Force 2-1 over Solution. This one was streamed. I would assume that this is the least favorite mode that Avril of Splat Force. At least the matches I saw, she was using Bamboo. But still, they found a way to beat out Solution, which was a really good team. going forward. This might be a potential new rivalry, honestly, just considering who the teams on or the players on Solution are. Solution lost to Disconnect. Well, showing up is half the battle. But regardless, from the sets that I saw on stream, nice win there for Splat Force, 2-1. The other match on stream, Tyrant Inc. 2-1 over Squid Row. These are two alpha bracket teams, two teams I consistently put in the top 10 of my little Squid League Low Inc. tournament. Top 10. Tyrant Inc. made beta bracket last month. Squid Row, obviously considered a favorite going forward next month, lost to them 2-1 here. So a very nice win for Tyrant Inc. Again, this was on stream. The other match of note is Nexus 2-1 over Geek Squids. Man, this sucks. Geek Squids is now a team I only talk about when somebody beats them. But credit where credit is due. Geek Squids, who Price has told me are the big boys, very nice win for them as well. This was in round 1 of of Top Cut here. Nexus eventually got knocked out by Xylo. My winners from Top Cut, I have 2, and we're going to get to them real quick. First off, Shining Storm. They followed their 5th place finish in Low Inc. with a 4th place finish here. So Shining Storm, a newerish team, at least to me, starting to get consistent results. They're not just signing up for tournaments and then they do good one and they do bad the other. No, they're starting to get consistent here. That's a good thing, especially when we look at Low Inc. Consistency wins. So Shining Storm showing some consistency here is a good thing. Shining Storm lost to Xylo in the semifinals, lost to Deep Fried Octolings 2-3, but knocked off the likes of Inked Dragons and Team Schedule in rounds 1 and 2 of Top Cut. My other winner from Top Cut, and arguably, in my opinion, the biggest winner of this entire tournament, the Deep Fried Octolings. These guys had a heck of a tournament. Here they went, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 1? 7-1 or 8-1. Math is difficult. Regardless, the only team to beat the Deep Fried Octolings was the team that won the whole tournament, Tyrant Inc., and they beat them in semifinals 2-1. But here's all the other teams Deep Fried Octolings beat in this tournament. Enigma, Shining Storm, who they beat twice, Breakfast, CIA, Gold Rush Blush, Sock, which was the Tooniverse pickup team, Splat Force, and like I mentioned, a 1-2 loss to Tyrant Inc. So it's not like the Deep Fried Octolings just got fed a cupcake schedule. No, they played some really good teams and beat all of them and came within just one game shy of knocking out the team that won the whole tournament, Tyrant Inc. What is going on here with the Deep Fried Octolings? We're going to find out in a few minutes. But first, let's talk about Grand Finals. Excuse me. Grand Finals, Tyrant Inc. 3-2 over Xylo. I found out this was actually a rematch between these two teams, and Xylo won 3-0. Now, again, from what we saw on stream, it seemed obvious that when Tyrant Inc. was at a map that favored the Tentabrella they were popping out, they were at more of an advantage. But when they went to a map where Tentabrella was kind of negated by walls that were kind of built around, I mean, it's not like there's horrible Tentabrella maps, but there are some that are better than others. The two maps that Tyrant Inc. lost on were Art Academy and Shipyard. But the 3 maps they won on were Mako Mart, The Reef, and Piranha Pit. Game 5 being Piranha Pit, that game wasn't really that close at all. In the commentators were kind of pointing out that it's just a map where the tent can just kind of fire down all those lanes. I don't know how much of a factor the tent actually played, but I feel like it was a factor to some extent. as far as the map's concerned. I don't know what the maps were when these two teams played in Swiss, but Xylo winning 3-0. And you don't even know what the roster could have been completely different. Maybe they had like a sub or something. But this is a good win for Tyrant Inc. What does it mean for these two teams going forward? For Xylo, yeah, it sucks that they didn't win this tournament, but it's still redemption. These guys failed to make beta bracket, or they failed to make alpha bracket last month in Low Inc. They were considered a favorite. They will still be considered a favorite going into the next month's Low Inc. But this is redemption for them, finishing second place in this tournament. I believe they went undefeated up to this point. Yeah, they were the number 2 seed, which means they were undefeated in their group, and they beat Evening Chickens, Nexus, and Shining Storm, ultimately losing to Tyrant Inc. here. So Tyrant Inc. being the only team to knock out Xylo, and it took them to a Game 5 to do just that. So this is a bounce-back tournament for Xylo. They would have loved to win it, but they're going to be still considered a favorite going forward into this month's Low Inc. For Tyrant Inc., this same thing. This tournament means redemption for them. It just means more. Another team I have in my top 10 usually consistently didn't make alpha bracket last month. Did still play in beta bracket, so credit for that. But these guys have won Little Squid League, but winning Minnow Cup here, even though you take it with a grain of salt because it's Clan Blitz, the skill level is higher. This is a good pickup for them. Do we want to see teams win every single tournament before we kick them out of lower level? No, you don't. It's but racking up wins as you go along the system is nice to see. So Tyrant Inc., a very good win for them. Just kind of justifies why we view them as highly as we do, and we'll have some high expectations for them going forward. Speaking of teams who we have some high expectation to, and this is weird because this thing has noise canceling features to it. Welcome into the Popcast, a member of the Deep Fried Octolings, who is kind enough to join me for our first ever team interview of 2021. Bolt, who was talking to my wife so that this transition can be smooth instead of me just taking a break and awkwardly setting it up. So, Bolt, how are you today?
I'm feeling good, kind of upset that school's back, but feeling good
You're
for the most part. How are you doing?
Are you in school right now? Like,
No, I'm on my lunch break.
okay, but you're not like physically at school.
No, I'm doing online school.
Okay, cool. So welcome into the first documented evidence of truancy here on the podcast. Uh, let's get into it. Could you explain, basically, if someone's never heard of the Deep Fried Octolings before, when was this team formed, and what's like the brief history of the Deep Fried Octolings?
So, Apple and I used to go to the same school, and we both played Splatoon. So, we formed a clan back in December of 2018 called Best Squids. At that point, we played the game casually and didn't take the game seriously. Then Apple changed the name to the Deep Fried Octolings because Best Squids was kind of cringy. I thought it was cool, so we decided to roll with it. Fast forward to March 2020, and the coronavirus hit, and we were all stuck in quarantine. In late May, I asked Apple if he wanted to play competitive, and he said yes. So we started recruiting and doing scrims, and then we played in our first tournament, Ink Theory June. We played really well in it. We upset Pure Divinity, and we also had a lot of fun. And thank you Splat Squid for inviting me to the Low Ink server. And from there, the rest is history.
You guys beat Pure Divinity in a tournament?
Yeah, it was back in Ink Theory June.
It was
At the time, we didn't even
March.
know who they were.
Okay, well, I mean, back then they were a Div 5 team, and I think they played in little squid leagues, I believe, around that time. I mean, Pure Divinity is a monster now, but
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, you can say forever that you have beaten Pure Divinity regardless of context here. Why deep fried octolings. Where you said Apple is responsible for that? What? Why? Where did that name come from? Does it have any meaning?
No, I think Apple just decided to roll with it because it was funny. Like, I think at the time we were both in middle school and we both thought it was really funny. So we all thought it was kind of cool and just decided to have that name.
Does your team have a rival or somebody that you get excited when you play against them?
We don't have a clear-cut rival, but there are a few teams we scrim a decent amount and trade sets in tournaments with. Some of these teams are Omega Rush, Kraken Warriors, Geek Squids, and Breakfast.
Breakfast. Is Breakfast officially back? I thought I saw them disbanding, but they're back in this tournament. I would assume they're back as well. And you guys played against Breakfast at this point, last tournament. So what let's talk about this tournament in general. Did you guys do do you guys feel like you did better than what you were expecting, or was this like what you were? Is this just like business as usual and finishing third place in this tournament?
Yeah, um, we definitely were kind of surprised by this because we usually we know we have the potential to do stuff like this, but we've never actually done it. So, um, and where something we have to work on is being more consistent. Like,
Well, I feel like you guys been pretty consistent. You've been doing really well in low inks. You've been consistently improving from like 3-3 to 4-2 as far as those
yeah,
tournaments are concerned. What's been like the secret to your recent success? Have you added like new players recently or just changed your practice schedule or what's up?
well, we had a lot more time to do scrims because of winter break, and that's definitely helped us improve. Our coordination has also improved. We've tried minimizing our mistakes, like feeding and playing reckless. We've also done a better job reflecting after each loss.
So you guys do like VOD reviews kind of or
Sometimes, but at the end of each match, sometimes like we'll just go over what happened in that match and we'll see how it went and see why we won or lost.
what who all is on your team like the official roster?
So it's me, Apple, Nin Benny, Broke, Kalana, and for subs we have Mesh, Josh Magic, who is on Breakfast, and um, Asa, who used to be on Ink Dragons but is on Royal Court now.
And how long has this roster been together? Like when was the last time you added your last person to the team?
We actually added Kalana really recently, maybe a month ago or 3 weeks ago, because Mesh was dealing with some stuff, so we needed a new backliner. So we added Kalana.
Okay. But you guys have been pretty much outside of that, you guys have been pretty much the same consistent roster
Yeah,
going forward. Well,
definitely.
that's probably why you have success. Not a lot of teams stick together very long in this community, but when you guys actually do, you get some success from that. Um, Last question before I let you go. I know lunch is very important when you're in school. Where do you see or what's like the expectations that you guys are putting on yourselves for this year?
We definitely want to make alpha bracket. That's been a really big goal of ours because we've always gone really close, but we just never end up making it. But we just want to improve just as a team in our like coordination and all of that stuff.
Well, I definitely see you guys making alpha bracket at some point. It'd be interesting to see where you guys are in December. Bolt, I appreciate you taking the time out of your busy day. Uh, Good luck in the rest of your school year. This is a year you'll be telling your grandchildren about, for better or for worse. But as far as Splatoon is concerned, congratulations for your third place finish, and we'll keep eye on you guys in the future.
Thank you for having me, Popgun.
And that was Bolt of the Deep Fried Octolinks joining us on the podcast. Hey, I told you guys last week I want to do more interviews like this. And that's how we're starting off this year. We're going to find more teams, and where they're not going to be big, massive, extensive interviews that are going to take 30 minutes or something. No, we're just going to bring in captains from teams, and we're just going to chat with them for about 5 or 10 minutes about some of the success that they're having. And I want to do that more often. I want to bring in you guys and let you guys have your say about what's going on in this community, not just what I think is going on. So, with that being said, as we are wrapping up this episode of the Popcast, as I find somebody to raid on Twitch, if you would like to be a part of the podcast in any way, feel free to reach out to me using the links that I have below on Twitter at Mr_Popgun, Discord at Popgun #5882, YouTube, where all my VODs are saved, at Popgun at 25 Popgun, and obviously on Twitch at Popgun25. I'm going to remember to put the link to the SAC tournament registration in the YouTube video description below. So if you're watching this on YouTube, just look down below and sign up for the SAC tournament. We're going to raid Awesome Games Done Quick, honestly. Or just Games Done Quick. This is a really cool charity tournament, or charity speedrun event, and it's cool to see. Thank you guys for watching. Please keep wearing a mask. Make sure your nose is covered. And I will see you next week for the 27th episode of the Popcast.